So now we have this system to actually equip the weapon from the ground, or like pick weapon from the ground, but those are not actually picking up for our weapon system itself. So here you can see like the weapon is spawning, uh, but it is still on the ground. Plus our weapon system is not aware of whatever the items that we have been picked. Okay, so now let's see how we can actually pick these elements from ground and add it to weapon system. So currently we have this pick item function that has been called at the inventory itself, uh, inventory system itself. Similarly, what we can do is we can implement sort of an interface function that has been called, we pick this item from the ground, right? Okay, so let's create our interface, and currently we have this BPI events for the global actions that we currently perform. So this is basically targeted for input events that we provide by our inputs. So let's create a similar interface function called BPI. I don't know, maybe let's call it as what? Uh, Pickable items, I suppose, right? And then let's create BPI event, stand for BPI pick item, right? And I don't need to pass any sort of input actions or input parameters, because by default whatever the object initiate or whatever the object has this interface event will get called, right? So I don't need to actually provide any sort of inputs. So since we are going to equip weapons, what we can do is we can implement that interface inside the base class of the weapon interface, weapon blueprint. So currently we have these two functions that comes with the BPI events interface. So if you go to class settings, you can see currently we have implemented this one, BPI events. Similarly, I think we can add a new interface as well, which is BPI pickable items. So you can see it's add to here. But to have a organization of our interface functions, let's categorize this function into maybe a new category called inventory, and this function now should be categorized, right? So if I compile it, now you can see it's within this category, right? So for now I'll simply add a print statement here called I don't know, maybe like let's append string to it, and let's call it as picked this specific instance, right? And then we should have a way to actually call this function. So it can be done at the inventory system itself. So whenever we pick the item, we can check that this specific item is implementing this interface or not. So let's get this instance, and let's search for interface. Yeah, we have this does implement interface. So if we implement these BPI pickable items within this specific actor instance, then we can call that function, which is BPI pick item, right? The target is simply simply this item again. So whatever the actor that actually implement this interface will get called there, right? So maybe we can organize these pins a little bit, otherwise it looks a bit cluttered. Something like this would be fine. Okay, so since these weapons now implementing this interface, now I should be able to see a print statement called picked, whatever the item that we have been picked. Let's play a test and see. Okay, so here you can see actually it shows we picked this specific item, but it prints the another print statement as well. So where did we add that thing? I think in the add to inventory function. Yeah, so I'll get rid of this and let's play test it again. Now you can see actually that interface is getting called. Okay, right. Now we need a way to actually pick this item from our weapon system itself. So how to do that? So, yeah, so what we can do is, yeah, we can get the owner of this specific instance, right? Which is this one, and let's try to print it as well and see whether we have a valid reference, because if we have a valid reference, then we can get the weapon system out of this reference quite easily. Yeah, so we have a valid reference. You can see like it print in the player base instance. So let's get the component by class. I don't need this stuff anymore. So I'm interested in the weapon system. So if we have a valid reference, then we may be able to get this one. So ultimately I want to add this weapon to my inventory, therefore I will add it like this. And the instance should be self, because we have been already spawned this weapon. So it will go to that weapon, it will add it, and it will use weapon at here, and it will go to the equip unequip weapon function, and it will call these two things together. And these functions are implemented at the weapon base itself. If you look at this equip function, these will be get triggered, and whatever the weapon that we are equipping, it will get visible, attach to the character, switch to the anim state. Okay, so now let's play test it. Right, now you can see we can pick the pistol and it's not or attaching actually it's attaching to the character and it's not spawned at the origin like it did before, right? And we can toggle the element as well, but here you can see right now we have duplicated pistols because we already have a pistol instance at our default weapon system list, weapon items list. So I'll go to my player base, and there let's get rid of these extra weapons that we have been currently equipped. So I'll remove this one, and so right. So right now by default we don't have any weapons, so I can't switch anything. But if I equip the pistol, I have the pistol in my weapon system like this, right? And again I can pick the pistol, but it's sort of a duplicated weapon. So let's prevent adding these duplicated weapons as well. What we can do is simply, instead of adding like this, we can add unique to here. Plus I think at the weapon system also, when you add in the weapon, instead of this add, let's use unique add. And let's try that again. Okay, I have the pistol. Okay, I still have the duplicated instance actually. So what I can do is actually I can prevent it is being picked at here. At here I can simply check whether the currently equipped weapon is in the list of this array, right? But I think for now I will keep this implementation as it is, because later on like we can implement a solution for this, such as like, let's say if we are picking a duplicated weapons, then we can increment the ammo counts instead of duplicating the weapons inside our inventory, right? So just for testing I will keep like this, and later on we can actually improve this further, right? And additionally what we can do is we can actually show the weapon mesh that these items have. So in order to do that, let's go to the inventory, pickable item base, and there, instead of having a pickable item base, let's have the child instances. So pickable item pistol, I'll move it to outside of the base folder, and let's configure it. So make sure to clean your base instance, because I think just for the debugging purposes we initialize these configurations. For example, this pistol, we don't need it anymore at here. So since we have the child instances, now let's configure that at here. So for pistol, actually we have this pistol, right? And for the preview mesh, let's add the pistol static mesh. Right, now you can see the mesh is there, but it's quite small. So let's increase its size further. I think 1 by 1 by 1 would be enough. So these are actually base instances, so I'll remove this stuff from the map, and then let's add this instance to the level. Right, now I can pick the weapon. Maybe I can make it a bit larger because it needs to be visualized properly. 1.5, 1.5, 1.5. Yeah, now I have a better visualization. Yeah, I can equip the weapon as well. Okay, so similarly we can duplicate this thing and the rifle. So for rifle I will add rifle static mesh and the rifle blueprint, and let's see its view as well. Okay, it seems fine, but let's add to the level and see. It seems a bit larger, right? So I'll keep it as 1 by 1 by 1. And now it seems okay. Right, I can pick the rifle. Here you can see like dynamically it's switching to the rifle weapon icon as well. Okay, and I can equip the pistol, so it goes back to the pistol. Now I have two weapons. Okay, similarly let's add a sword as well. So I'll add greystone blade for that, and sword act as the inventory item. Let's play it again. Okay, first I have to place it on the level. So sword is there, but I'm not quite happy with its scale or the location. So let's open its blueprint. Maybe for the location I can make it -30 maybe. And for the scale, let's scale it further up. Maybe 1.2 will do the trick, right? Okay, it should be nice. I can pick the sword as well, but maybe we can increase its size further, about 1.5 with maybe -45 offset. Right, this should be okay. Right, so now I can pick the sword and rifle and pistol. Okay, everything is properly equipping and unequipping, also pickable from ground and switchable. Right, okay, so that's how we can add an actual weapons to our weapon system by using the inventory system calls. And in the next tutorial, let's improve this system further. I'll see you there. Thank you.